Hi, I'm Greg Euland with Reynolds & Reynolds, and this is Connected. Today, I'm really excited. We get to dive into an ongoing YouTube series, video series put on by Tim Pohanka. Tim is the Chief Operating Officer at Pohanka Automotive Group out in the D.C. area. But him and two other dealers put on this great video series, and it's still running, so I'm excited to see the rest of it. But Tim, thanks so much for joining me today.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here and really glad to talk about anything Tour Detour.
All right, love it. Well, we'll get into it. Before we do, Tim, you're a fourth generation dealer. There's not, obviously, the automotive retail business for a long time has been a generational business, right? And it's a great business. It's a great entrepreneurial endeavor. It's a great way to be involved in the community that you're a part of. So there's a lot of wins, but there aren't a lot of families out there that are into the fourth generation at this point. So curious if you could share a little bit of maybe your background, right? How you got to where you are and what that family journey looked like for you. Because I swear everybody's family journey is a little different, a little unique. So maybe what that looks like for you, and then we can go wherever you want to from there.
Obviously you're right. Being a fourth generation is an amazing thing, and it's something that I'm very proud of. Ironically, I think it was the day I graduated high school, my great uncle, who really took the dealership to the next level. I remember him coming to my graduation and kind of saying, "Well, you're number 4," and that kind of gets you thinking in that realm. Graduated from college, or actually just before I graduated, I started working at the dealership, and I took to it like a duck to water, and it was a lot of fun and enjoyed it, and kind of put in my dues. One thing about the group is that you've got to kind of work every place in the store before they'll move you up, and it's all about opportunity. They'll give you the opportunity, and what you do with it's up to you. Which is great. I mean, it gives you a lot of respect for the industry and a lot of respect for the people. And that's kind of how it came about. Just my uncle saying, it's time to get number 4 in. Let's see what you can do. And me being very lucky in that I was able to take advantage of the opportunity.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And you've done a lot of great things, obviously, in your stores and also in the industry. I mean, if I remember right, if I read right, you're currently on the board of VADA. You're on the Nissan Dealer Council, which one of the things that makes a lot of sense after seeing your video series is you're trying to help influence marketing and things like that on the dealer advisory board. So a lot of engagement on your part inside the industry, not just in your group. So obviously making an impact.
That comes from what we learned from past generations. And I remember my dad coming to me and saying, what makes a difference in this world or in anything you do is putting more into something than you take out. And especially when he talked about the industry and the community, that was big to him. And that really resonated with me. And so that's kind of where a lot of the things that we do come into play. It's how do you put more back into your community than you take out? How do you put more into the auto industry than you take out? How do you give more to your team than you take out? And that's been a successful mantra for me, or kind of a guide that my dad gave me.
Yeah, well, I think that leads in nicely to what you were doing. So let's get into Tour Detour because this, if anybody hasn't seen it, first of all, so I think, and we'll just kind of level set. If I kind of got my ducks in a row, you'll have 7 videos that'll come out plus the trailer, which was great also. But so 7-part series, 4 of them have been released. 5th one will be coming out here, and then I think it's every week they're being released, right?
I just finished recording some things for the one that's coming out tomorrow.
All right, no, that's perfect. So the first 4, ton of fun. We'll get into some details, but before we do, this idea, and basically what it is was you and I'll call them 2 buddies. They're also car dealers, but it seems like you guys have a lot of fun together. So probably you and 2 buddies come up with this idea that let's get some used Nissan vehicles, have to have over 100,000 miles on them, and we can't spend more than 10 grand on the car. And then let's go just beat the crap out of them and see what we can do. And it's fun. It's a fun idea, but it's not a Pohanka commercial, right? And in a lot of ways, it seems like it's a Nissan commercial in a lot of ways. So when I think about that, I was taken, it kind of struck me that, this is much bigger than just you and your stores and what you're trying to do there.
It is. This is not an ad for us. It's an ad for a car. It's an ad for the drive. It's an ad for enjoying the time out with your friends. It's an ad for the value of other things. So definitely not an ad for us. And it came across just because we sat around and I was talking to one of our media partners, and they were pitching an idea about storytelling marketing. And the best brands don't advertise; they tell stories, and honest ones, human ones. And that really landed with me because we do have stories all around the dealership all the time. But how do we make it part of a bigger story about really what the car is for people? And that's kind of where it came to life. And luckily, I had two other dealer friends who bought onto the same crazy idea that I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of adventure that you guys went through, and you picked vehicles that aren't necessarily, at least I wouldn't classify them as necessarily adventure kind of backwoods vehicles, but they held their own.
Yeah, well, that was the other part that we wanted to do, is how to do something that would help the Nissan brand. And one area was talking about CVT, which Nissan has had some questionable quality in the CVT. And there's been a lot of narrative about it. And we sat there and said, you know what, let's try to break one. And what's the best way to break one is to pick cars that aren't supposed to be in a certain area and drive the heck out of them. and that became part of the bigger story. And, is it an ad for Nissan? I don't know. I mean, I guess it could be a little bit. It's more, again, about just the cars in general. But, getting out and telling that CVT story was important, too, because that was kind of what we were fighting is, can these cars do it? Can these transmissions handle it? And when you look at some of the things we did, there was some question.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the one that that had me hold my breath a little bit was the I'll call it a river crossing, because you couldn't really tell how deep it was, and you guys weren't in some big old jacked up Wranglers driving through that thing. You're in a Juke, and I think your buddies were in Muranos. So
yeah, it was crazy. We had a situation where when we were going, I had no idea whether or not, well, it just rained, so I didn't know how much rain had happened. I thought we could get through it, but I didn't know how much rain happened. And because of that, it was questionable. I mean, it was I was sweating bullets before I went across that.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that my two buddies who did all this all the time were freaking out either.
So this wasn't new for them. They do this kind of stuff. They kind of go out and.
Yeah, Chris mentioned it. I mean, he's got a lifted Jeep that he goes out and does things. And, he's looking at this river crossing and losing his mind. And I'm like, okay, great. This was not acting. This was not set up. This was actually your two friends who, one lives in West Virginia and one lives in Colorado, looking at the water crossing going, So, and then somehow I drew the short stick and I got to go.
Man, they were picking on you this whole thing, right? You had to go first. They tried to put banana in your tailpipe. I mean, geesh.
Well, there was a lot of joking going back and forth. A lot didn't make it in the cut of some of the things that we were doing. So no, I would love to say that they picked on me the whole time, but yeah, there's quite a few. We took Jason and I took some very creative liberties with Chris's bumper. Because we had bull bars and he did not. And whether it was his front bumper, his rear bumper, his right door, his left door, we couldn't help him when he wouldn't move. We had to move him for him. So, and a few of those, unfortunately, they'll make it in the shorts. They didn't quite make it in all of the shows.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long were you guys out there? Like total to film?
I was 8 days total whether it was going out there, prepping, getting back, getting everything done. It was 6 days of filming and about 8 days total out there.
Okay. And did you drive out or did you truck the vehicles out?
We shipped, two of the vehicles were shipped. Chris lives close enough that he drove. We shipped two out there, and we're really lucky that our friend out there, Tim Dale, Nissan, and Tyler Slade was kind enough to accept the cars for us at his dealership, and even crazier to trust us with two production vehicles.
Yeah, well, I saw, and those were the ones that went down first, right? You had a flat tire, and those are the ones you ended up having to work on.
Yeah, we as you see it in the video, is that we were smart enough to bring spare tires for the cars that we thought were going to break, and somehow forgot that we were bringing other cars. So yeah, we did not fare well with one of them, and we could chalk some of that up to bad driving, and leave it at that.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the project now that, and it's still not even complete, right? You're still releasing episodes. But how do you feel about it? I mean, it seemed like you had a lot of fun. It seemed, I mean, from my perspective, you did a fantastic job. But I don't know, what's the kind of the value add? How do you feel about it? You said you kind of got pitched on this idea of storytelling, and now you're telling a story. And how do you feel?
I couldn't feel better. I mean, the whole time you were out there, it was stressful for at least for me. I spent a lot of time organizing this and putting it together, so it was stressful to me, especially when we had some problems that came around that we were not expecting. But at each part of the journey, whether it was the scenery, the friends I was with, the people we met along the way. Every moment was just absolutely incredible, and it kept you going to the next one. And then when you look at the completed project, we left so much of what we did on the cutting room floor because obviously we're trying to tell the story in short tidbits. There was so much more we could have added into it, and that's the part that's exciting is that there is so much to talk about, and then the fact that everyone on the team was excited about the project and wanted to continue to do it. I think that's kind of an even more exciting is that, I'm sitting here with a list of things that people want to do for round two. And that's nice. And then the response we're getting from people. I mean, some of the comments on social media have been absolutely amazing and encouraging. So I feel great about the project.
That's fantastic. And what about your team in the store? Right. So were they, when you said, "Hey, I want to do this," did you involve folks like from your store? Was it mostly kind of you and then the production company, which we can talk about them in a minute too. I'd love to give them a shout out. But who all was involved?
That's the other thing about this is this project brought people together here in the dealership, whether it was the technicians, the parts department team, my sales manager, my used car manager. Everyone really kind of took to this idea and they enjoyed it. When it came time to taking my yellow Juke, which the used car team loved buying, and then you get this used Juke in that we've no idea what it is, and we take it back to the service department and talk to the team back there, and they're going, "We're going to do what?" And then you talk to the parts department, they're getting the parts ordered, and they go, "We're doing what?" And then when you start to see it come together, it was great. I mean, we had people just. I mean, one thing that was interesting is that when I was getting ready to leave, I developed this really weird squeak in the door, and my team just dropped what they were doing to find out what that squeak was, and we got it taken care of. But when I left the store, one of the parts department team members just brought me a stack of zip ties and a bunch of cable ties and said, "Hey, you may need these." And that was really exciting. And then coming back and listening to everyone talk about how they want to do another project and they want to do this and they want to do that. That to me is morale building. And I think that is the best part that came from this for me personally is watching the morale of my team get excited about watching me do it on something that they helped create. You can't beat that.
Yeah, well, that's a really good call out.
I know that's the same thing for Jason and Chris because we actually went to Chris's store and talked to some of his people. And then a couple weeks later, we went to Jason's store and got the same thing. I mean, and that to me is really that camaraderie that gets the staff going really makes a difference.
Well, and that's a really good call out too, because yes, this was a video that you produced or a series of videos you produced. You could call it marketing. You kind of bucket it there, but to look at it in a way that it's not just about driving traffic to the store. It's not just about dispelling an objection that you may hear in the CVT transmission. It's also about having meaningful things to work on that are fun, that bring your team together, and that does matter, right? And the culture that you create and build upon with these types of projects and bringing people in, that's an impact that maybe you can't tangibly measure, but that absolutely makes a difference in your day to day.
I fully agree. Anytime that you can get every single department in your dealership aligned on one task, that's a win. I don't care who you are. It's a win. I mean, even the accounting staff. I mean, it's a win. And when it's something that they can go back and be proud of, that's even better. And because pride breeds so many more things. Pride in your work, pride in whatever accomplishment you have. That just adds to what your work life balance, work life balance, and your job satisfaction is. And couldn't be prouder of the fact that I was represented by a huge group of individuals that were ready when we had the last episode, we had a pretty major problem, which will show up. And, between Chris, Jason, and I, we were each able to call back to the store and get advice on how to take care of something. I mean, think about that. I mean, time change, everything going on. And the team was ready to go and willing to step up and help out. And again, couldn't be more proud.
Yeah, that's great. And they all have stories too, right? So you probably have a million stories from that 8 days that you spent. But your team also, they have this tangible video that they can share, right? They can send it to their friends. They can send it to their spouse. They can send it to, anybody that they care about and say, hey, check this out. So in this part, this is what I had to do, right? Or I got to do this piece of it, or I took that call at the end when they needed help. They have stories that they can tell too, which means a lot, right? It gives them something tangible to point to and to your point, be proud about.
Well, it was also great to get the advice. I know people who look. I've never done this. This was going off road. This was the closest I went to off road was driving in the grass. And now I've done all these things, and I've got people here telling me, oh, this is what you do here, and this is how you do that, and you're trying to take all the information in and do the right thing later. But again, it was great to get it. I mean, how often do you get to connect with your team at such a granular level? And it was great.
How fun, speaking of off-road, how fun were those side-by-sides that you guys took up and down?
Oh, all right. Truth be told, they were so much fun. Literally a week and a half later, we got back and we all flew to West Virginia and took more side-by-sides out into the hills of West Virginia. And we did film that, and we'll bring that out later. But yeah, the UTVs were, I mean, that was like discovering ice cream. I mean, it was, oh my God, this is great.
No, it looked like an absolute blast. And like some of those climbs that you guys were making, it was, I mean, they were serious.
Yeah, I mean, they tell you that, hey, these rocks are, sandstone, and they've got really good grip. It's like driving on sandpaper. And, you, of course, are going to be like any, human being who's a little bit scared of dying and go, right. And, you start to go up it, and it's side to side and narrow, and you are planning that you do not want to die. And so you have to start to trust the equipment. And you do, and you follow along, and you realize that, hey, I didn't see a notification that other people wrecked. But, you don't want to be the first one. But it was absolutely incredible. And I will say this, anyone who goes out to Moab, number one, adult playground, amazing. But number two, do the evening one where you get to see the sun go down and really light up the entire valley. I've been in some beautiful places, and that was right up there, number one or number two.
Wow. No, that's great. So put it on the list of must sees, I suppose.
I would.
Good. Now, are you gonna pick up a Kawasaki franchise and start getting into that power sports?
You have no idea. Yeah, it would be great to pick up one of those and see what we can do on that. But, I don't know. I don't think they want me really test driving everything all the time. Like, where's Tim? He's out test driving. So.
Yeah, that's good. So, hey, let's talk a little bit about, if you don't mind, and if you don't want to, that's fine too. But the production company, the media company that you worked with, because they did a really nice job. And you kind of started when we started talking. You said that they were pitching this idea of storytelling, and I'm assuming it's the same company that produced this. But if I was looking correctly, it's Latitude 26 Media. Is that right?
Latitude 26 was the key partner, and then we also had help from Media Results. Okay. And so that was nice that two different media companies came together to help us with this. But yeah, it was amazing. Go ahead, ask away.
No, just kind of curious. Is that a longstanding relationship? And then, what role did they have? Because obviously you're extremely involved, and you had Jason and Chris; they were extremely involved. But then clearly you have people behind a camera saying, "Oh, this will be really cool. This will be great." So how much of it was just capture, and how much of it was a little bit of planning and production? What did that dynamic look like?
It's scripted, unscripted.
Yeah.
A lot of what we did was unscripted, and so from that standpoint, we did this kind of backwards, and unlike anyone should have, we didn't do any advanced planning. We didn't send an advanced team. We didn't drive the route ahead of time. If you couldn't see it on Google Earth or Google Maps, we were in new territory. So a lot of it was that production team really taking to the the terrain and the scenery and coming up with their own ideas of how to film it, how to do it, and they did an amazing job. I mean, for people who have never really worked together, bringing two media teams together and coming and dividing the role that they did out there and pinpointing where they wanted to be, that was amazing. And then when it comes back down to it, how to organize it and edit it to bring it to life. And I think that's kind of where Latitude has come to really make a big difference, is that we're looking at a well put together, edited series, and you couldn't be and at cinema quality. I mean, if you look at the production quality, a lot of what we hear is we were expecting three guys in a GoPro, and it's clearly not three guys in a GoPro. There were over 18 cameras, drones, Osmos, 360 cameras. I mean, the whole works were there, and they were able to organize that. And if anyone doesn't understand the organization that it takes to put together 150 hours of film, to take all of that and come up with a cohesive final product, they have no idea. Because again, you're looking at taking a camera from my car, Jason's car, Chris's car, the GoPros from our car, the GoPros on the side, the production vehicle cameras, Osmo cameras. Now you're trying to tie them all back together. The editing that we've gotten out of this has been an absolute stellar thing. But it all goes back to the organization, and that's the other thing that Latitude's done a great job. Great job helping us with the storytelling, and then a great job helping us putting it all together.
Yeah, it's a ton of work, and it really is a great finished product. And you guys have, I was looking today, across the 4 videos that are out, over 100,000 views on YouTube. I mean, that's significant. That is substantial. It's not, that's not a localized little, hey, check out our dealership and what we did. People are interested in this, which says a lot.
Yes, and the thing to keep in mind is that we're not doing this with a national rollout budget.
Right.
This is being done with a local car dealer type of budget. When you look at the production, everything we did to produce this, the advertising budget is a drop. And that's why we're really excited about the results, is that these are coming from people sharing, people talking about it. And it's exciting. I mean, we're over 1,000 subscribers. I never would have thought that was humanly possible. The views that we've had, the comments, it's just been absolutely amazing. And that's just a small segment of people who've seen it. So hopefully, people get out and share it and spend some time over Thanksgiving saying, hey, we want to watch some crazy people do some crazy driving. We're it.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you think is that what draws people to it? You think is the crazy driving? Is it, the friendship dynamic between you, Jason, and Chris? Is it your personalities? Is it the scenery that they see? Is it some combination of all of them? What do you think is the draw that people really want to check something out for 15 minutes, and just see what you're up to? What is it that gets people hooked?
I think it's all of those things. I mean, when you start with, when you think about a long drive, if you can do a long drive with a friend, it makes it a lot better. If you can do a long drive in great scenery, it makes it better, with a friend. If you can make a long drive with a friend in great scenery and do some crazy things, it makes it even better. And then you start to look at, hey, I'd like to be there. So I think you just kind of bring each one of these items together, and then people can start to dream about, hey, can my car do that? I think those are all the things that come in. I mean, I'm quite certain. Well, I know I'm not quite. So I've seen it. And I've talked about it. I've got people who've asked me, well, should I do that with my friends? Check the box. I wonder if my car can do that. Check the box. I'm talking to you about Moab. Check the box. There's lots of different things that can check a box for somebody, and that's exciting. To me, I remember during COVID when we couldn't travel, I was watching TV shows in Europe and in Australia and New Zealand and you name it, just to get an idea of what travel would be like. And then you look at it now, that's the same thing. And we never celebrate the United States as much as we could for travel. If anyone had told me I was going to see what I saw in Utah, I would have been like, huh? And we touched a small part of Utah. Anyone living in Utah is officially the luckiest people in the world because you got snow, you've got mountains, you've got desert, you've got sand, you've got the Salt Lake. I mean, I thought living in DC was great because we got the ocean and the mountains. They've got the salt flats. I mean, the history, the people, culture. It's absolutely an amazing state, and it was an amazing host, and it was a brutal host.
Listening to you kind of reminisce on that and talk about just the road trip and Utah and what you got to see. It actually reminds me a little bit of there's a story that Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone and Thomas Edison, they used to, back in their heyday, they would take road trips kind of up and down the eastern U.S. And, Henry Ford wanted to check out the roadways to help improve the roadways, improve automobile travel. And him and Harvey Firestone were friends. Him and Edison were friends. But they would take these trips and they get a lot of attention, right? And so the side benefit of these just friendship road trips were, okay, Ford vehicles can handle any road conditions and Firestone tires can last a long time. And then Thomas Edison had his hands in, so many different things from concrete to cement to rubber, to obviously electricity. He would just he was along for the ride, I suppose. But just listening to you talk about it, it kind of reminds me of that, where you have these three guys that, they're car dealers and they're friends, and they all sell Nissans, and they want to go out and see what these cars can do and maybe prove a myth wrong.
Was the friendship part you can't beat. I mean,
Yeah.
Whether it was playing jokes, it was waking up, sitting around a campfire at the end of the day. I can't say enough about the friendships. Chris and Jason are amazing. Jason is a multi-generational dealer just like I am. And Chris is a guy who started as a salesperson and built himself up. And when you sit around and you listen to everyone's story, again, I wish we could have told them all in this. It's amazing, and it leads to a lot of respect, a lot about yourself, and you learn a lot about your friends, and you just have a great time. But yeah, I would say that going out and spending time on the road and getting to talk to your friends outside of the desk or outside of that, I can see where great ideas would come from that.
Yeah, and on walkie-talkies, no less.
Yeah, I mean, the walkie-talkie part was pretty cool. I mean, it was it was actually really cool.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you don't have cell service, right, you need to communicate with one another. What are you going to do, I suppose?
It was a lot easier than calling everybody and being on a group chat, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So Tim, I am curious, you're kind of down this path, and it sounds like you have more ideas from your team. And so maybe there's a season 2 of your mini series. I hope so. But, I was looking also at numbers. Nissan has been down in the U.S. Really, 2020 hasn't really recovered since 2020. I mean, the last couple of years, 23, 24, we've seen a little bit of an uptick, which is good. It's promising. But, I don't know. I see this and I say, man, I wonder if this could actually have an impact on nationwide numbers, certainly regional numbers, but could this idea and this almost like challenging the myth of the CVT transmission not being reliable, like does that provide a boost? Does that give Nissan dealers across the country, a little bump? And I wouldn't be shocked. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but I love what you're doing. Whether that's the intent or not, I think it could be an outcome.
We can do anything to raise the tide for every Nissan dealer, then that is an amazing thing. I mean, I would say that was hopefully one of the goals is that, we know that the CVT had problems. I'm not here to sit there and say it didn't. But really, what's it take to fail? And, we were able to take these cars and punish them, and they didn't fail. And when I say they didn't fail, I mean, there was a couple times I thought we were going to get the high heat light and have the warning indicators come on. I mean, I smelled some smells. I'm not, we didn't have the catastrophic failure. And I'm still driving my Juke around. I drove it to work today. So it's one of those things that, yes, if we can do that, that would be great. I think all Nissan dealers, it's about pride. And it's about understanding that we do sell a good car. I mean, Nissan's got great ratings for quality, and it doesn't get acknowledged like some of the bad press does. Not to sway, again, and this is not to say that there wasn't issues in the past. I'm not naive enough to say that there wasn't. But I am, optimistic enough to sit there and say, but it doesn't say that it's a bad car. It doesn't say this. It goes back to how well you take care of it. And it goes back, or in our case, how well you don't take care of it. But in that part, yes, I would love to think that we play a role in getting Nissan quality up, getting people thinking about that. We don't affect the quality, but people's perception of their quality. And then there was something positive to think about. And if a dealer wants to call and say, hey, we'd like to repurpose some of these spots, give us a call. We want everyone to feel like, hey, this is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. So you said something there, a lot of, we'll call it longevity. That's not the word you use, but the longevity in a vehicle is how you take care of it. Right. And when you said that, it's interesting because I was looking, this is going back a couple years, but about the history of Pohanka and I guess, kind of 3 generations ago, the first dealership, if I remember right, was founded as Pohanka Service, right? I mean, it was a dealership that was really focused on servicing the vehicles that were sold. And, that's rang true for, I mean, in your case, over 100 years, where if you can maintain a vehicle well, right, and keep it on schedule, they'll last a really, really long time.
And it will. And you're right. I mean, we were founded with Pohanka Service in mind. My great grandfather was actually a jockey at the turn of the century. And when he couldn't keep weight, he said, hey, what's the next big thing? And obviously he's looking around and the car looks like it's going to replace the horse. So it kind of made sense for him. And then he learned to work on a car. Then you look at each successful generation. I mean, my dad, he worked as a ship fitter in the Navy, came out and was a technician before he went into sales and items like that. Now, obviously, clearly they knew not to leave me a wrench, but that part is important. And service has been important for us for the whole time. We found our business starts in the service department. A lot of people start in the sales department. We know to start in the service department. Do we do everything right all the time? I would love to say we do, but obviously we don't always do because we're just humans working on something built by a human who's driven by a human. But our team here does a great job in service across the group. It's something I think we're known for and something we're proud of.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Tim, I appreciate you taking time to talk through this. I hope, we can do our little part to help you get, the next 100,000 views. 'Cause I love what you're doing. I think it was a great idea. I think it was really well executed. And, believe it or not, it was fun to, I don't know if you've heard this from other folks, but get to know you a little bit without knowing you at all, right? We never met prior to this conversation, but I spent an hour kind of listening to you talk and witnessing how you like to have fun. And, it's a great way to share who you are. And as a representative of obviously your dealerships, it's a great way for people to get to know you, but also uplift the Nissan brand. So thank you for doing it. I think it's a great idea. I can't wait to watch the rest of it. And, hope many more to come from you guys.
The great news is that, you can like, follow, share, and subscribe, which always helps. But more importantly, we've got a lot of short videos that are going to come out that are going to add on to some of the things that we didn't see in the main part, which will be really great. And we've got a few other things planned. And there's anyone who wants to help. But obviously we're looking for partners, and if you want to partner with us in the next one, we're glad to include it. But it's something we're real proud of, and something I'm excited about, and I'm excited that it's been this well received, and that part's been fun. Because I will tell you, when I first told Jason and Chris about it, I was waiting for them to ask me if I was crazy. Uh, and then when we started showing it to people who we knew, and I was waiting for them to tell me, you did what? And then when it was released, I was waiting for crickets. And luckily, we haven't had it, and comments like yours really make it so that we're excited about doing more.
No, that's fantastic. Well, Tim, anything we didn't touch on that we should? Anything I didn't ask you about that we should before we hop off?
No, I mean, I'm here to answer your questions about it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I think we've touched on everything. I mean, other than the fact that, I'm not a Utah travel agent, but I would say again, get out there.
No, I love it. All right. Well, Tim Pohanka, thank you very much for what you're doing, for the industry, honestly, and, bringing these great personalities to life, and, dispelling some myths about vehicles. They're all fantastic as long as we take care of them. So
actually, I will say,
what you're doing.
I will hit you on one other thing though. I will say this, because you said about a myth. The other thing I would leave people with is used cars. They do, our thought process about what a used car is needs to change in the industry. 100,000 miles is probably not the end of a useful life of a car. And maybe it's not 150,000. I think looking, towards how we look at reconditioning, how we look at the value of a car, given the price that cars have gone up so much in recent times, and you look at affordability, what is a good quality used car? What is the right number to put on it? What's the right number for reconditioning? If you go back in time, it's always $1,200, $1,200. Well, if the car is now double the price that it was 5 years ago, is $1,200 that number anymore? I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. But maybe we need to change our mindset about what a good quality used car or what an inventory is. So, you got me to think about that just now. So that's something I think we may really want to talk about in the future for dealers, is what we're going to put a used car value at, or what we're going to call our inventory.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. I'm just thinking the last two vehicles that I've owned, I think I sold one of them with 275,000 miles on it, and I replaced the heads on it. So had some substantial work, but nothing terrible. And the other one was, I think, 225. So, vehicles will run. I mean, and to your point, they have value if they run, right? It's at the end of the day, that's the reality. And when you can't get into a new car for less than 30 grand, period, like you can't do it. What is the value of that 100,000 mile juke?
I mean, just to let you know, my car was bought for under $6,000. Jason's car was bought for under $6,000, and Chris's car was bought for under $6,000. Yeah. We had set our rules at $10,000 to do whatever you wanted to it in terms of modifications and whatever. But think about that. We all bought cars for under $6,000. That, would you have said, hey, let's go take a road trip through Moab and over rocks, through rivers, up mountains? Probably not. And not only did they make it, they made it back, and they're great cars. So yeah, I think that would be, if I had to pick something else to leave everyone thought process on, is what's the value of a used car? I mean, maybe we need to change our mindset as to what's a good car.
Yeah, I love it. That's a great thought. Well, Tim, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you for giving me some time, and again, for everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And again, like, follow, share, subscribe.
You got it. All right. We'll talk later.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.
Well, I don't know if you learned anything in that episode, but I sure had fun talking to Tim Pohanka. A great guy. I love his ideas and what he's doing. Good marketing mind. Obviously, he's recording these long-form videos. And if you haven't seen it, you really do need to go check out Tour Detour. It's available on YouTube. It's the easiest place to find it. Before we hop off, don't forget, you can watch or listen to all episodes of Connected on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify podcasts. And make sure to hit subscribe so you're notified every other week when new episodes are released. Thanks so much. We'll see you in 2 weeks.